Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. I'm Lea Pearson, founder of Music Minus Pain and an injury prevention specialist for musicians. So this week I'm doing a fantastic series of videos every day about what are the biggest things that keep you from playing your best. I'm going to focus on 3 of them. Hey Shalyn, nice to see you. Do you ever feel like you're not able to play your best? Or maybe your performance is inconsistent or unreliable, like you get to a gig or a lesson or rehearsal or performance and you can't seem to play things as well as you did at home, but you're not sure why? Or like you thought you had a passage down one day, but the next day you couldn't play it well at all, and you're going, what is going on? I know I can do this. Why isn't it happening? Hi, Kelly. Type in the chat if you can, if you have access to the keyboard. Type in the chat what happens to you. What are the unreliable or inconsistent things about your playing that are frustrating to you? Well, this week I'm doing a special series of Facebook Live videos on the 3 major things I see in musicians. This is musicians of all levels and all instruments, including singers, that keep us from playing or singing the way we want. Hi, Carmela. Now, you may think there's a lot of things keeping you from playing the way you want, and it's true. You may have limited breathing or not have the technique that you want, or performance jitters, or you don't feel like you're practicing the way you should be, or you're not doing everything right. But what I'm going to teach you about this week are some of the bigger picture things that are common to all musicians from the perspective of body mapping. And most of you know I am a body mapping teacher. I am an injury prevention specialist, which means that I'm trained to observe and understand what we as musicians do to either make things come out right, or the things that we do that limit our playing, cause tension or pain, and even injury. For 20 years, I've been helping thousands of musicians recover their ability to play with joy and ease. So, if you'd like some great tips on how to overcome what's holding you back, stick around and check out the videos this week. Today, I want to share with you some ideas about what I think is the most important thing, and that is narrow focus. So what do I mean by narrow focus? I mean that feeling you get when you're not quite sure of what you're playing or you feel insecure. Do you ever get that feeling? You kind of zero in on the music in front of you and you lose awareness of everything else. This usually includes losing awareness of your surroundings and of your body. And what's even weird about this is that you actually don't even know that you're losing awareness. You lose awareness of awareness. So let's try a little bit experiment. Get out your instrument. I'm going to pause here for 1 second because the fan is making me sneeze. Oh. I needed some air, but not that much air. Let's try an experiment. Get out your instrument, or pretend to get out your instrument, and pick out a piece of music or a passage, something that you're still learning or something that's difficult for you. Now, what I want you to do is just play it the way you normally play it, and notice what is your habit when things start to get tricky, all right? What is going on? And you may not be used to noticing this, so this could be a challenge for you. Do you go up into your head and start worrying? Do you shut out everything else except for the passage that you're working on? Do you lean into the music stand so you can see it better? Yeah, I do. Do you get tense? You feel your body getting tense? But here's something that happens to a lot of us. We start to worry before the passage appears, like a measure before, sometimes 2 measures before, 1 note before. We're already getting stuck and getting narrow and contracted. So I want you to start to notice and identify this feeling of honing in like this. Sometimes we need it, but most often we just do it out of habit, and that causes a lot of problems for us. So now I'd like you to try something different, and you can Try this whether you have your instrument out with you or not. Just do it right now. So you want to, when you get tense like that, your brain is basically saying, ah, I can't handle this, help. So I want you to give your brain a little bit of comfort. Just slow down and notice all your surroundings. Notice especially the rest of the space in the room besides just the music in front of you. And if you happen to be in a small room like a practice room, you can imagine that you're in a bigger space. Like my room is this is my living room. It's big because I'm in a big old house. So notice what you see, especially your peripheral vision, okay? Notice what you smell. Notice what you hear, and this includes your peripheral hearing. That means not just the things that are right around you, but what's outside, or what's out the doors or the windows, or anything else going on in the room. Maybe the sounds of your own body, the sounds of your blood, your heart pumping. And notice especially the space behind you, because what happens when we get a narrow focus is we lose that sense of spaciousness. Now, get your instrument and play that passage again, maybe a little bit slower so your brain can actually go, ah, I know what I'm doing. And play it with that wide open sense of awareness, realizing that the tiny little black notes in front of you are only one little fraction of your whole being and your whole surroundings. Notice if that's hard to do. Notice if you keep wanting to narrow your focus. Type in the chat what you notice, even if you're watching as the recording. If you're not live, go ahead. I'd love to hear from you. What do you notice when you start to go, I can't play it all, or I can't sing it all? This is especially tricky for singers because any worry is going to tighten up the breathing and the vocal production. So the thing is, we have two competing evolutionary impulses here. The first is the absolute human impulse to freeze and contract when encountering something dangerous, right? And we all know that fast or difficult passages are dangerous, right? The primitive brain, the one part of our brain that processes fear, does not distinguish between difficult notes and a lion about to eat you. And what's most dangerous about this is that if we do it habitually, this kind of pulling in and narrow focus, it's constant tension, and that can produce pain and ultimately injury. But the other competing evolutionary impulse in all animals and all people, especially indigenous peoples who haven't had it trained out of them, that we all have in common, is that of being connected to and in relationship with our surroundings. Just think about this from an evolutionary perspective. If you're living in wild surroundings and you can't hear and see and smell and notice and feel everything, you are in danger of becoming prey, because your biggest defense is to notice what's going on. Babies do this. We're born to do this. You did this when you were little. You could always hear things that your parents didn't notice, like a siren or an airplane. And as we get older, the thing is, we get older and we get more focused in school, and we're sitting down, facing front. We're taught to pay attention to only that which is directly in front of us. Have you noticed that? We do this, for 12 years in school. You think that means something? And as we get older, this creates the common misconception that a narrow focus is the best way to learn something. So how many of you think that in order to really learn something, you have to really concentrate, right? Do this? In fact, the opposite is true. Yes, the opposite is true. The best way to learn is to stay connected with yourself and your environment, what in body mapping we call inclusive awareness. So we're including everything in our surroundings and within ourselves. Hi, Awa. And what's so cool about this kind of awareness is that it helps us to use our bodies the way we are designed and helps protect us from pain and injury. So I invite you to experiment with this today and the rest of this week. When do you feel your awareness and your focus contracting and narrowing in your thoughts and in your movement and in your feelings? And when do you feel expansive and open and connected to your audience and your world? Now, these are not absolutes. It's like either you're one or the other. But it's a continuum that's really fun to explore. Sometimes you may have a day where you're way over on the narrow end, but it's really useful to recognize that and say, oh, wow, look what a narrow focus I have today. I wonder what's going on and what I can do about that. So think of it as a continuum. Write in the chat what you discover. Later on, come back and make a comment. I'd love to find out what's going on with you. And then join me tomorrow for our second video on the second most important thing that's keeping you from playing your best. So you want a sneak peek? I bet you do. Okay, see if right now you can draw, hi Jill, see if you can draw everything involved in your breathing, all the structures of breathing. Anything that you feel is involved, okay? Just draw it. There's no right, there's no wrong. This is a mapping question. Hi, Wanda. See if you can draw that, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. We'll talk about how the maps of the structures and movements of your bodies can either interfere with or help your playing. So, thank you so much for taking this time for yourself today. Please like and share the videos and invite other people to this group. I'm doing all my live videos from here in this group now. So the more people are here, the more they get to improve their playing and lessen their pain with great body mapping practices and ideas. So thank you for being here. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.